Hello, and welcome back to another episode of International Immersion. For today's episode, we have a special guest who's going to be joining us and giving us his own experiences of traveling to a different country. So, we're kind of taking a departure from China, and we're going to try another country. So, without further ado, we would like to introduce our guest tonight.
Hi, my name is Raffa, and the country we'll be talking about is Guatemala, where I had the chance to travel recently to.
Very nice. So, before we kind of get into the more specifics of our topic tonight, so can you give us a little background about yourself and and why you end up going to Guatemala?
Yeah, I was originally born in Guatemala, spent 7 years of my life there, I have family there. And as an adult, it was the first time going back, and I took a chance to go teach English in Guatemala, get certified with what it's called the TESOL program, teaching English second language. I found a program that was really cool and was able to flexible, intensive 4 or 5 weeks. You're doing a lot of work, a lot of hands-on, a lot of writing, a lot of interacting with the locals. And I was when I landed in Guatemala, I headed to the town of Antigua, which is a beautiful city, and I'll talk a little bit about it and how my experience is living there.
Okay, so yeah, so unlike a lot of people, I've in previous episodes talked about my time in China and having been there for 4 years. So kind of in a similar aspect to me, you spent a good period of time there, so you really got to know the area, and you really kind of became more part of the local environment. I guess you could say.
Yeah, I speak Spanish fluently. I can read and write it, so it made it a lot easier. And having family that can give you tips because they actually live it every day. Got out of the airport and I needed to get a phone because a phone plan. It's necessary. I mean, the country has Uber and it's got an Airbnb if you're looking for that. But I already had a place that I got in Antigua, and I just needed to get there. And you just gotta be able to be smart about who takes you.
Okay. So today we're going to primarily talk about what are some important things you need to do to prepare to travel, what to have when you're traveling, and how to protect yourself while you're in a foreign country. And in this case, Guatemala is going to be our case study. So to begin with, like when you first decided to go, how did you prepare?
Well, I made sure you had copies of your passport photo page and any visas just in case you lose your passport on the way. Um, it's a good idea to call your credit card companies, let them know that you're going there. You're going to be out a month. So if you end up using your cards abroad, they won't shut them down. I had a friend that happened one time, so I've learned from experience. And just make sure you've contacted the right people. Let at least one person know that you're going, and it helps to know people in country already.
Oh, of course, and that can really make a difference having someone there that you can contact or rely on. But yeah, I had an unfortunate situation where when I was in China, I tried to use one of my cards, and I didn't realize that it didn't work in China, and it could have been very bad. Luckily, I had a backup, but it was a bit of a it was very frustrating, and it caused me a little bit of concern for a while until I was able to get around that hindrance. But no, I completely understand your point there. Okay, so that's kind of how you prepared about it.
Well, you made sure also I like to travel light, so I only took a carry-on. I said I was going to be there 4 to 5 weeks. Now, I tell you, you got enough clothes if you fold it right. But if you want to buy like little gifts for family, it can get tricky. You got to bring it back. Not only customs, but fitting it all in the carry-on and your personal item. It could be tricky, but it was worth it. Um, it's a difficult thing, but managed to do it.
Oh, I can't tell you how many times, or on at least several occasions, I went with one suitcase and I came back with at least two. Yeah, because when I was there, I was like, wow, there's a lot of cheap stuff here. Got some good clothes, got some other stuff, and
You
Bought
know,
it and brought them back.
one story is I was tempted to buy a painting, and I loved it. It had the town of Antigua with the volcano in the background, the Agua volcano, and it was pretty big, and it was on canvas parchment, and I really wanted to bring it with me, but I just couldn't fit in the carry-on. So it's for next time. Just figure out how to do that.
Yeah, those types of items can be much more difficult to get back. You can always ship them, but that can be anywhere, from a few dollars to very expensive, depending on what it is and where you're sending it from back to the U.S. So yeah, that's always kind of a I could buy it, maybe it's cheap, but how do I get it back?
I actually I didn't know this. I asked some of the locals if they had a mailing system, and years ago, not exactly know the date, but we could tell you in a later podcast probably. They don't have a mailing system like the U.S. Postal Service did. Something the government and the private entities just fought, and
Really?
so I can't send a letter to family, or you can send a message through WhatsApp, but postage you can't send packages and anything. You might be able to do it on a private scale if you pay a lot of money.
So they don't have the equivalent of the U.S. Postal Service in
They
Guatemala.
don't. It's defunct now.
That's kind of frightening if you think about it. I mean, think about how much we rely on the postal service here to buy things, sell things, get things we need, send mail. But so, what did you notice, or how did people get around that if they don't have like a effective postal service?
With technology now, they send messages. Everybody's got a smartphone too.
Oh, of
They get
course.
around. Well, WhatsApp is more popular uh, abroad when I've seen it than in the United States. Businesses use WhatsApp for their contacts. It's so that's one way.
So on more of a communication basis, it's not so much of a problem. But what about like sending parcels, packages, products?
It's not
That's
existent. I mean, it's still on trucks. It's going to take a long time to get your product. So
okay. So the transportation infrastructure is there, but just
yes,
not the you don't have like a government you know organization that
yeah, I can't just
oversees it.
write a letter and send it to family. It's not going to happen.
Wow, I mean that's not something you'd expect, but if when something is lacking, people will figure out a way to get what they need to where it needs to go.
Another thing, I stayed in Antigua, and since the pipes are not up to date, you can't flush the paper down toilet. So it's kind of interesting. We live in America, and sometimes we take things for granted that we have here. It takes travel to see other parts of the world, see how people are living. And it just humbles you. The experience.
No, I think that's one thing that everyone should travel, if not for an extended period of time, at least for a short to moderate period of time, because it really just gives them much more of a perception of what is outside of their home country. And if you don't have that, you can't compare and contrast. What's your home country like versus other places. And I think if everyone actually would spend time abroad, at least in one or more places, it really would help. I think develop their ability to understand and relate to different kinds of people, different concepts, etc.
Well, my program was in Antigua, Guatemala. It's the old Spanish town, colonial, very beautiful. It's spring all year. It was dry season, but it rained a little bit. Um, and to get around, they have these little taxis, like motorcycles, and three wheelers. It's a lot.
Okay,
It's something I recommend trying out at least once as a tourist.
sounds a little exhilarating.
It's very cheap, gets you around town, but it's a walking city. You could walk to everywhere. I didn't stay in Guatemala City because I wanted to get out because there's a lot of districts in Guatemala City, and we can talk about that later in other programs. But
I see.
um, that's something I got to experience. It was a good time.
Okay, so you kind of gave us a little bit of a background of what you did. So, in terms of like finances, you talked about you. Um, how did you prepare financially for the trip? Both before and when you were there?
Well, you look up what's $1 compared to what's called a quetzal. That's the currency in Guatemala, and you travel according to what the needs. So I stayed 5 weeks, so I calculated I needed so much money. Not to mention they have banks. You just take your passport and you could exchange, or you could go. They have ATMs and just put in your card. Which I recommend withdrawing more money at one time because the surcharge is pretty high when you want to take out money. They're catering to a lot of tourists now.
I see. So, would you recommend, of course, to bring your credit cards with you, but how much cash would you recommend bringing?
I think for a month I'll take $1,000. If you know how to manage, know where to eat. One thing is, as a tourist, you could eat well in other countries. Probably, Sean, you could relate. But the locals can't afford tourist price sometimes. I learned that because I invited one friend that I made there to a place, but he ate there, but I knew he was kind of uncomfortable because it was out of his price range. So the next time we went out, we went to a more reasonable place that he could afford, and we could talk. Because you understand, you're only there for a short time, so your money goes farther than an actual local living in country.
Oh, especially for sure, it's the same in China. I mean, more or less most of the places you go to. So, like on a kind of a cost basis, or how far your money really goes. Like, can you give us an example of, like, because I know China right now it's like $1 is like 7 yuan, and an average lunch in Hangzhou or that's about 20 to 30 renminbi or Chinese yuan. And so, like in Guatemala, how would you? Could you give us a good example of kind of like maybe a cost comparison for like a maybe a meal something that you could buy?
Well, I bet right now it's like $1, like 7 kitsal. You could probably eat for $2. Be fine. You want to eat starter, a drink, and something else. 20 kitsal. They have these hidden gems, like I call them, but these restaurants, you just gotta know where you're going. Or tourists have the money and they're gonna spend, and they're fine. They're not worrying about it. But if you're living in a country and trying to extend what you budgeted, unless a lot of the people I've met took side jobs. There was a lot of German, a lot of Irish, a lot of Australians. There's a lot of hostels, hotels, and they all compete for that kind of clientele. And it's pretty much uh, my experience. I was safe because I think they want to keep it clean for the tourists coming in, bringing that money. A lot
Oh,
of
that's and you bring up a good point there. I know with China, honestly, like the entire time I was there, I never really felt in danger. Like you never really have that feeling of like you're in danger on the street, even if you're out late at night walking around in most places, at least the places I've been to. How would you say it's like in Guatemala, or like
Where I was in
the places
Antigua,
you've been
it
in?
was pretty safe. Just the tourists are there. Use common sense. If you're out late, go with someone. There was the market that I only went to during the day. They had everything you could buy, from fakes to reals to shoes to tortillas. The red, blue corn tortillas. They're delicious. Um, anyway, the safety part of it is just use common sense because anywhere you could possibly run into a wrong area. Just
Okay, and what would you say would be the most common problem or type of crime that you could encounter in Guatemala? At least as a visiting foreigner,
well,
or
I mean, your cell phone, just don't show it that you have the latest model. iPhone. And
okay, so theft.
yeah, it's flaunting you the phone. And the street. Some of you got might get some attention. That's more in this Guatemala City, but in Antigua, like I said, it's like a bubble, very secure with all these tourists. The locals know that these tourists are here now, so a lot of the craftsmen come there to do their business.
Okay, I see. Yeah, so yeah, I'd say this is in China. It's similar. Theft is going to be the most common. It's oh, you have a nice phone. Ooh, he's got a new iPhone, or oh, he's got a nice new camera. Just yeah, don't. I completely agree with you. Don't flaunt anything. You don't have to. You'll just set yourself up to be targeted for getting robbed or something
You
like
know,
that.
like I said, I speak the language, and it's a lot easier.
And that gives you a huge advantage because most people, when they go to another country, they probably are not going to speak the language. And I'm sure that paid dividends for you when you were there.
you know, and it's when you walk around the street and you see like a German or Swiss girl, they think they're all Americans, but because the culture, the movie industry. But what I'm getting with this, they get a lot of attention, blonde hair, blue eyes, something you don't see around there. So a lot of the people are drawn to that. Um, I would also add like the street food was really good. I stayed away from the fruits. I just didn't want the bacterias that come with that. But the cooked street food was really good.
Okay. So yeah, that's a good question to bring up. How are tourists or foreigners perceived in Guatemala?
I think they're, especially in tourist areas, if you go outside the city, a lot, but they want the business. A lot of expats are buying the properties now, so I noticed that a lot of Airbnbs or these little houses are opening up that they open up to tourists and strangers, and they're making good money off that. They depend on the people visiting, climbing the volcanoes, eating the local cuisines, going to the museums, going to the avocado, coffee plantations, visiting the old pueblos. Um, it's like, so where I was, it was pretty centralized. Antigua, you go what's called a chicken bus. It's like a bus. It looks like a regular old
Chicken
bus.
bus,
Yeah,
okay.
that's what everybody calls them, chicken buses. But they're like these colorful blue or green buses that they painted them, and they yell and they take you everywhere around the country. I mean,
Well, I'm just saying, just from you telling me that, I'm very curious to see one now.
well, yeah, I can show you a picture later. It's they're pretty colorful. I mean, think about it. If you're an expat living there and you have the money, you could take if you want to go to the ruins of the Mayans. You could pay $100 to take a 1 hour flight, or you could take the 12-hour bus ride. So pick and choose.
So $100 for the 1 hour plane ride
Uh-huh.
versus the 12-hour bus ride.
Yes.
How much does that cost?
Well, the bus ride's cheaper.
Oh, I'm sure it is. How much cheaper would you say?
I'd say $10 compared to paying 100 for a flight. So
you can save $90, but it takes 12 hours.
yeah, I mean, you get to Flores. It's a beautiful island in the town, and then you drive a little bit further and you get to Tikal, which is one of the most famous ruins.
Oh yeah, Tikal. That was one of the major hubs of the Mayan civilization.
Yeah. So the weather is always nice. There is coastal towns too with beaches and warm weather. Like I said, where I was staying, it was spring all year, so it was really nice and warm in the day, and a little chilly at night. But you just wear a light jacket and you're fine. And that a lot of people like that. That's what they have. That growing, they could grow a lot of things in Guatemala because they have the climate is very nice.
Well, also because I mean, just thinking of the geography of Guatemala, you have kind of the coast, the coastal areas, the lowlands, you have the highlands. So you have different. The topography supports different types of environments.
I mean, I got to climb a volcano and it was active, and they were actually siphoning geothermal energy from the volcano, which is really cool.
That's pretty awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
talk about a way to utilize a very powerful resource.
Oh yeah, for $40 you could take an excursion for 2 days, climb another volcano. I just didn't have time. I wanted to, and you can see all these beautiful sights. There's one volcano you could see across the one I would have climbed. That's they have no access because it's very dangerous and exploded actually last year. So.
Oh, that's a little scary. Like, oh, I was there just a
Well,
little
think
while
about it.
back.
It exploded on the other side of Antigua, so there was landslides, lahars. A lot of people, lost their land and unfortunately their lives. But you know, people are nice in Guatemala that I've met. You just the food is great, the weather's great. Um, I felt safe. Misconceptions of what people think. You just gotta be smart.
Naturally. I mean, and I think most people who do travel, if they come prepared, they've done some research, they're going to be fine. But you're always going to have those who don't do that, and they come and things happen, or they don't use common sense, and things happen to them. Either more slightly negative, or maybe in worst case scenario, very very awful situations can arise.
Oh yeah, I mean, I went down there for a couple of reasons. I wanted to reconnect with my mother's side of the family. I was successful with that. I learned a lot, but I also wanted to get certified in teaching English. I think it's a demand for a lot of jobs around the world. I mean, when you make an impact on these 16-year olds to 35-year olds, so I had a big range of students. Um, they tell me they want to get the best job, which is in the city, and you speak English. It'd be a call center job or the airport job. So you're empowering another generation that there's opportunity out there. Um, so travel just opens your eyes.
For sure. So, how would you describe the how when you were teaching? Like, can you tell us about like where you taught, the location, what resources you had, and maybe how many students you taught while you were there?
It was in between 10 to 16 students. It was an American organization that's established there. They have schools in Costa Rica, they have in Peru, and Guatemala. And I picked to go to Guatemala, and it was good. I had a great time. There's a book part, and then there's also hands-on part. They don't want you to speak Spanish. You want them to speak, and the instructor to speak less. So we learn to kind of guide them so they use their words and imagination. There's a reading component, there's a writing component, and there's a speaking component. And we learned through games. It was a good time. Once the projects were done. My first assignment when I was getting trained is I had to teach the students how to fold a T-shirt. You think that's easy, but you give steps in English, and watching all those students do every step you wrote, and actually them reading it, writing it, and acting it out, and successfully doing it was amazing. So
Yeah, it puts it in a whole different light when you're trying to tell someone to do something in a different language. The actions then by themselves are simple, but when you're trying to explain it in a different language, that could be that could be a very interesting observation or just experience.
sometimes I believe everybody has a chance to opportunity, and sometimes we as the outsiders have the resources or know where to look and motivate these students is kind of like what my job was too, so they could learn that uh, they could go anywhere in life, and they could get out of their pueblo, they could get out of the problems in their country, and go somewhere else. Have it's just about knowing where to get the help, and sometimes in our own country, it's hard to believe how many people don't know how amazing we got it here.
Oh, I totally agree with you. I think there are so many people in this country that don't realize how good they have it. I mean, and they may complain about some things or problems, but those problems cannot even come close to what other people go through in other places. I mean, whenever I'm having issues, I'm like, I just stop and say, wait, wait, wait. There are people in a lot worse straits than I am. I got to be thankful for what I have, and just and be positive.
What I was talking about earlier, having to can't flush very well, and you have to throw away the paper. And here we got the great air conditioning systems and heating systems, running water, small things, but to other people are the big things. Um,
Yeah, if you grow up with all that, it just becomes kind of very mute because you're used to it. But if you don't, and I think by seeing someone who appreciates it, wow, I didn't have that before. This is great. That definitely can change your opinion or your mindset because it's like if you've grown up with it, you're used to it. It's not going to impact you as much, unless you've not had it, and that's just human nature. People get accustomed to their surroundings so quickly.
So yeah, that's part of it. Going on, having a good time, learning about the culture, experiencing the foods, the traditions, and then taking it back and realizing that it's a big world out there, but it's fun to actually um, be there than at reading about it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, if you read about something, you can learn about it, but if you're actually there, there's no comparison. I mean, it's one thing to learn about, like for example, ancient Rome. You read about it in a book, but if you go to Rome itself, it's just a totally different perspective. So that's the case with any place.
So yeah, I mean, I would recommend if you want to discover a country that it's warm all year, good food. Um, there's lots to do from outdoors perspective to a cultural perspective. Um, the craftsmanship that's seen from the indigenous people is really good, and it's just something that got to appreciate as a foreigner sometimes that you're able to do it because sometimes the locals can't enjoy their own country as expats that move there and retired do. Uh,
Yeah, how many people a better question is, do you see a lot of people who moved down there to retire specifically for that reason?
I mean, I met some people that were retired there and opening their own business, restaurant business, jewelry business, um, you know. And it's sad because the bodegas, they're these little corner stores. The prices have gone up because they have to pay the rent on the spot. That was one of the questions I asked. Is because the foreigners are buying the land, they're opening their own businesses for hostels or restaurants, but locals can't afford that. For instance, people from Guatemala City, they go to Antigua on the weekends, like as a treat, because it's nice, escape the city, and it's the sights and scenes. Um, I remember when I went with my aunt, and we had to park her car. They have a guy looking out for you that says park here, but you pay him a little money so he doesn't scratch your car. Or it's a thing, basically give him a little money so he found you a parking spot.
That's that. Yeah. So how often did you have to do that when you were there, like in different situations, like maybe you
Just once,
okay.
because I was able to get a ride from my aunt from the airport. Um, on the way back, there's a lot of tourist companies, or you could Uber back there. Um, and yeah, and I'll end this. You could have the experience in a hotel. You could have the experience in a hostel. I chose to the host family, even though I spoke Spanish. I wanted to learn from there and their experience living as a local. And it's a big business. They get tourists paying for rooms. Um, I got 2 meals a day, um, and I got to talk to the host 1 hour a day. And on Sundays we would go to the local soccer matches, which was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, I know soccer in Latin America is huge, so that had to be a lot of fun seeing the energy and the enthusiasm of the fans. And
No, I mean for the price that you paid, 20 quetzal entry and general admission, it was good. The fans were getting into the game. I mean, it was probably Division 1 in their country, and one game it rained and we got all wet. There's no cover. If you want to pay the cover, you got to pay more money. And I'm sitting with my host parents.
so I'm sure you're just like, yeah, what the heck,
What the hell? We got soaked.
we're gonna get wet. We're gonna get wet.
You get a poncho and you have a good time. So
No, that's great. I mean, it sounds like you had a great time there, and it really was eye opening for you, and you really learned a lot, and you've come away with it with a different attitude, and it's kind of enhanced who you are, and given you a lot of good memories. So before we sign off, what would you recommend for anyone who's interested in going to Guatemala for any reason?
I would recommend trying the local foods, and once you are able to try the tortillas at the market, you get a variety, not just what you're used to here in the States. I've seen black tortillas, blue tortillas, yellow, and red.
Oh
Uh,
wow,
yeah, so it's something experience. Oh yeah, bartering is something you could do in other countries, and it's a lot.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
lot of fun.
I did that a lot in China. So that's cool to know that you can also barter. But I can also see if you're learning the language, that's a great way to practice. I know I did that all the time to practice my Chinese. And it was a lot of fun to do that.
So they know you're a foreigner and they talk, but if you're able, you could no, I'm going to the next person. Oh, no, take this price. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, the classic. No, I'm walking away. Oh, okay, we'll give you it. We'll give you it.
I wanted to end with Guatemala has a lot of festivals, and the very Catholic country, so they do a lot of processions, and there's always a festival throughout the year, depending on the town, and but that's outside the city. I prefer that. Guatemala City is another big city. Had a lot of zones, and we'll go in detail about that in another later time.
Awesome. Well, Rafi, we really appreciate you, being on the show today, and we've learned a lot about Guatemala, and you definitely piqued my curiosity to go there. And yeah, we look forward to having you back to talk about other topics. But this has been another episode of International Immersion, and as always, we have Sean here and our guest Rafi, and we guys will see you on the next one. Have a good one.